If you've ever found yourself saying, why does this keep happening to me? You're not alone. I hear that question from clients every single week. Different relationship, different job, different situation, yet somehow the same emotional outcome, the same disappointment, the same anxiety, the same feeling of being unseen, unvalued or overwhelmed. That's not bad luck, that's not fate, and it's certainly not weakness. That's a pattern. And there's an important distinction I want to offer you. In life, we all face challenges: illness, loss, rejection, betrayal, redundancy, family breakdowns, difficult people. These are experiences none of us can fully control. But alongside life's challenges, we also create life's problems. And life's problems are different because they don't come from the outside. They come from within us, shaped by our personal history. From early childhood, we begin to make sense of the world. We draw conclusions about who we are, what we're allowed to feel, and how safe it is to be ourselves. A child who grows up criticized may unconsciously decide, I'm not good enough. A child who feels emotionally unseen may conclude, I don't matter. A child who experiences inconsistency may come to believe, people always leave me. These aren't conscious choices, they're survival strategies. They are the mind trying to protect itself. But here's the painful part. Once these beliefs take root, we start to live as though they are facts. We carry them into adult life. They shape who we trust, who we choose, what we tolerate, what we avoid, and how we speak to ourselves. Therapy calls this a life script, an unconscious story we live out without realizing we're doing so. And the mind is very clever. If you believe deep down that you are unlovable, you will begin to notice every piece of evidence that supports your belief. You will overlook the moments that contradict it. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, but it goes further than perception. Out of awareness, we often create situations that reinforce the very beliefs that hurt us the most. You might repeatedly choose emotionally unavailable partners. You might overwork to earn approval and then feel resentful and unseen. You might avoid conflict, say yes when you mean no, and then feel used. You might sabotage opportunities because success feels unfamiliar. These patterns aren't character flaws, they're adaptations. They were once intelligent coping mechanisms, but over time they become psychological traps. In therapy, we sometimes describe these repeating relational dynamics as psychological games. Not games in some trivial sense, but unconscious patterns with a familiar emotional ending. The external details change, but the internal experience remains the same. The same shame, the same anxiety, the same loneliness, the same fear. And what many people don't realize is that these emotions aren't much older than the present situation. When someone feels overwhelming emotion that seems out of proportion to what's happening, it's often because the nervous system is remembering something. We get what we call emotionally triggered. The body remembers being ignored. The body remembers being criticized. The body remembers walking on eggshells. The adult thinks they are reacting to their partner or their boss, but emotionally, they are reliving something that began decades earlier. This is the wounded younger self seeking resolution. Now, I want to be clear here. This is not about blaming parents. Most parents do the best they can with the awareness they have. But unhelpful parenting, patterns, emotional neglect, inconsistency, criticism, or lack of attunement can still wound a child's developing sense of self. Those wounds don't disappear just because we grow older. They live on in us as anxiety, self-doubt, people-pleasing, perfectionism, addictions, emotional shutdown, or a chronic sense of emptiness. Now, the good news is that patterns can be understood and patterns can be changed, but not through willpower alone. You cannot think your way out of a wound that was formed through childhood emotional experience. Healing happens in adulthood through awareness, emotional processing, and the development of a new internal relationship with yourself. Therapy offers a space where these patterns can become visible, where the script can be examined, where the younger parts of you that are still hurting can finally be heard rather than silenced, where the harsh inner critic can be challenged, where you can begin to respond to life from who you are now rather than from who you had to be to survive in childhood. I often say that insight is the beginning of freedom. When you start to see your patterns, you stop being controlled by them. You begin to recognize your triggers. You understand why certain situations feel unbearable. You start to notice the moment your old story is trying to replay itself. And slowly, with support, something shifts. You begin to choose differently. You begin to respond rather than react. You begin to feel more grounded in yourself. If any part of this resonates, if you recognize yourself in these patterns, please understand you are not broken. You are patterned, and patterns can be healed. Therapy is not about weakness. It is about courage. It is about turning towards what hurts rather than running away from it. With my help and support, it's about reclaiming your identity from the stories you were given before you were old enough to question them. And perhaps the most important question is not, why does this keep happening to me? But rather, what part of me is still trying to heal something from my past? Now, when you begin to explore that question, real change becomes possible. And if you'd like help exploring your patterns, get in touch. Visit my website. Book a free discovery call. Let's see what's possible.